Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the stillness. That is the doorway to the power that moves the stars and spins the earth. In that silence there is a secret, a truth so simple the mind overlooks it, and yet so powerful it reshapes all of life. Give it to God. Stop worrying. He will do the impossible. You were never asked to carry the weight. You were asked to believe. You were never meant to figure out the how, only to know in the deep silence of your being that it is done. That what you have asked for already is, in another dimension, in a higher realm, waiting to crystallize into form. Worry is the child of doubt. It is the conversation of the world that believes it must make everything happen by force, by fear, by frantic movement. But the inner man, the true self, knows better. He knows that imagination is the secret place of the Most High. He knows that what is conceived within is made real without, if only you will not disturb the seed with anxiety. The moment you surrender your desire to God, to the I Am within, you give it life, you hand it over to the part of you that is beyond limitation, beyond effort, beyond the laws of this world. But if you take it back with worry, you halt the process. You dig up the root to see if it's growing. You delay what was already guaranteed. You must learn the art of inner stillness. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and let that feeling become your secret dwelling place. When you walk through your day, walk as though the answer has already come. When you lie down at night, let sleep carry you into the dream where it is already so. Do not try to make it happen. Rest in the knowing that it already has. There is no power outside of you that needs to be convinced. The power is within you, waiting for your surrender. Not surrender in weakness, but surrender in faith. Faith is not hoping, it is knowing. Knowing that what you have imagined is the voice of God speaking through you. Knowing that what you feel in the silence is the seed of your miracle. What men call impossible is only a label placed upon things the senses cannot yet perceive. But the imagination is not bound by sight, nor by time, nor by logic. It sees from the end, it hears the unseen, it moves as spirit moves. Free, fluid, fearless. When you align with that inner world, the outer must conform. It has no choice. It is law. So stop asking when, stop begging, stop repeating the same prayers as though God has not heard. He heard you the first time. The moment the desire rose in you, the answer was born. Now let go, rest, feel it done, and carry yourself with the peace of one who knows that the universe is rearranging itself right now to bring you the impossible. This is not fantasy. This is the truth that sets you free. Give it to God. Then dare to live as though it's already yours, because it is. Do not be deceived by appearances. The world with all its forms and facts is but a reflection of your inner state. It is not causative. It does not move first. What you see and experience is the echo of what you have accepted as true within. And so when you begin to worry, when you pace the floor or rehearse problems in your mind, you are affirming the very reality you wish to change. You are planting the same seed again and again and wondering why it bears the same fruit. There must come a moment when you say enough. I have tried with my effort. I have struggled with my reasoning. I have exhausted my mind searching for a way. And now I turn within. I release this desire, not into the air, not into the hands of fate, but into the spirit that gives life to all things. I give it to God. I give it to that eternal presence within me, the source and sustainer of all creation. When you truly give it to God, you stop asking whether it's working. You stop checking for evidence. The farmer does not dig up the soil each day to see if the seed is sprouting. He trusts the process. He waters. He waits. He knows the nature of the seed. In the same way, your imagination is the womb of creation. When you impress it with the feeling of fulfillment and leave it there in peace, the harvest is certain. The mind that is still and trusting is the mind that commands reality, not by force, not by willpower, but by alignment. The universe responds not to your panic, but to your peace. That inner state is the magnet. What you truly feel to be real becomes your experience, not through toil, but through law. You were not designed to carry burdens, you were designed to create through vision and faith. Worry wears down the mind, clutters the heart, and blinds the eyes to opportunity. But when you release, when you let the I am within take the lead, you move differently, you walk in rest, you speak with confidence, you act not out of desperation, but out of inspired knowing. There is a vast difference between wanting and knowing. Wanting looks outward and sees lack. Knowing turns inward and finds completion. One begs, the other declares. One waits for a sign, the other becomes the sign. You must practice this shift daily, moment by moment, until it becomes your natural state. Until giving it to God is not a one-time act, but a lifestyle of divine partnership. You are not alone. You were never meant to be. That longing in your heart, that picture in your mind, that desire rising again and again, it is not random. It is the voice of God within you, reminding you of what is already yours in the eternal. The desire is the preview of coming fulfillment, but it is yours only when you believe, when you receive it in consciousness, when you assume it without evidence and persist without fear. You must learn to see with the inner eye. Close your eyes and imagine it done. Feel the joy of having, hear the congratulations, the laughter, the peace. Let it saturate your being. Let it become so vivid that when you open your eyes, the outer world feels like the illusion. Then, and only then, does the power move on your behalf. It is not your job to know how it will come. That is the domain of spirit. The how is never your concern. The method, the means, the sequence of events, these belong to a higher order. Your only work is to remain faithful to the end vision, to the feeling of the fulfilled desire. That feeling is the prayer, that assumption is the signal, and when it is strong and unwavering, the impossible becomes inevitable. Many grow weary because they plant the seed and then worry it into stillness. They try to force the tree to grow by shouting at the soil. But this is not the way of divine creation. Divine creation is gentle. It is quiet. It is confident. It knows the law. It knows the promise is sure. So it waits in peace and moves only when moved from within. To give it to God is not a passive act. It is the most powerful choice you can make. It is a declaration of faith in the unseen, a refusal to bow to appearances. It is choosing to believe the report of spirit over the noise of the senses. It is walking into your day as if the doors have already opened, even when they are still closed to the eye. Faith is not blind. Faith sees what the eye cannot. It sees the higher truth. It sees the blueprint before the building, and it rests in that seeing. It trusts that what is real in spirit must become real in form, just as surely as the dawn follows the night. You may say, "But I've waited so long." Yes, but have you waited in faith or in fear? Have you rested in the fulfillment or rehearsed the failure? There is a difference. True waiting is active. It is rich with inner experience. It is alive with thanksgiving. It is creative. It prepares the space for what is to come. It rejoices before the blessing arrives, knowing it cannot be denied. Gratitude is the language of trust. When you are truly grateful for what you have not yet seen, you announce to the universe that it is already yours. And that vibration, that frequency, is what draws the outcome to you without delay. Not because you earned it, not because you forced it, but because you aligned. Stop watching the clock. Time is not your master. Spirit is not bound by dates and deadlines. What seems delayed is not denied. It is being perfected. There are things being arranged behind the scenes that you could never calculate. People are being moved, doors are being unlocked, paths are being cleared, all because you dared to believe. If only you could see the machinery of heaven working in your favor, you would never doubt again. You would laugh at fear. You would stand taller. You would speak with greater authority. You would rest not in resignation, but in dominion You are not begging God to do something He has not yet decided. You are agreeing with what He has already spoken. You are stepping into the finished work. The desire was placed in you because its fulfillment already exists in spirit. You are not creating something from nothing. You are revealing what already is. And how do you do that? Through your assumption, through your inner speech, through your faithful imagination. Every time you imagine the end fulfilled, you are fertilizing the seed. Every time you feel it real, you are watering the dream. And every time you give thanks in advance, you are accelerating. This is not wishful thinking, this is the law. This is how creation has always worked. All things begin and end in consciousness. What you accept as true becomes your reality, not because you forced it, but because you believed it. So again I say, give it to God. Hand over the weight, the timeline, the logic, the fear. Let it go. And as you do, feel the shift. Feel the peace return. Feel the inner knowing begin to rise. That is your confirmation. That is your signal. That is the substance of things hoped for. The evidence of things not seen. Do not chase after signs. Do not look to the outer world to validate your faith. Let the outer catch up to the inner. Let the echo follow the sound. If you've spoken it in faith, it must return fulfilled. That is the promise. That is the covenant. When the worry rises, remind yourself, I've given it to God. I placed it in the safest, surest hands, and because of that I will not fear. I will not doubt. I will not rehearse the problem. I will rehearse the promise. I will rehearse the end. I will live from the outcome, and I will move through my day with the confidence of one who knows the impossible is already becoming possible. Not someday, now, not when all the conditions line up, but because I have aligned within. This is the great secret. Give it to God. Let it go. Assume it done. And watch. Watch as the unseen becomes seen, as the divine answers before you even finish the prayer, as the impossible bends its knee before the power of your faith. You say, but I don't feel it. Then sit with it longer. Dwell in the scene until it becomes more real to you than what your senses report. Reality is not what the eyes see. It is what the spirit accepts. And if you can accept your desire as already fulfilled, then you have touched the mind of God. You have entered the creative state. And in that state, all things are possible. This is the ease you were made for. This is the grace that flows from true surrender. Giving it to God is not the same as forgetting about it. It is remembering, but remembering rightly. It is holding the end in your heart without needing to manage the middle. It is saying, I see the finished work, I live in it, I celebrate it, and I trust the divine intelligence within me to orchestrate all the details. You will know you've truly let go when peace becomes your atmosphere, when joy begins to bubble up for no apparent reason, when your inner world grows louder than the noise of your circumstances. That is the evidence of faith. That is the birth of the miracle. The world will try to convince you that you must fight, hustle, worry, and strain, but that is the path of the natural man, bound to the senses. The spiritual man creates differently. He speaks what is not as though it is. He calls the invisible into form through belief. He uses imagination as his instrument and trust as his foundation. If only you could understand what has already been prepared for you. If only you could comprehend that what you long for exists now, fully formed in another dimension of being. And the only bridge from there to here is belief. Not blind belief, but active, living belief. A belief that shows up in how you speak, how you walk, how you think, how you rest. What you do in the silence matters more than what you do in the crowd. What you entertain in the privacy of your heart is the blueprint for what will appear in your life. You cannot hide your dominant state. Life will reflect it back to you again and again until you choose differently. Until you choose to align, to harmonize, to trust. And trust is not timid, it is bold. It acts before the evidence. It sows before the season. It builds the ark before the rain. To trust God is to stop playing small, to stop shrinking your vision to match your bank account or your background, to stop measuring possibility by history or statistics. The power in you does not answer to numbers. It answers to faith. You are not waiting for God. God is waiting for you to believe, to stop circling the same doubt, to stop speaking against your own prayer, to stop looking for signs of failure when all you need to do is declare success, to stop watering the weeds with worry and start watering the promise with praise. Praise is the song of those who have already received in the Spirit. It is the melody of those who see what the eye cannot. It confuses the logic of man but unlocks the vault of heaven. Praise, even before the manifestation, is one of the highest demonstrations of trust. When you praise, you lift your vibration. You rise into alignment with the thing desired, and from that height, miracles rush toward you with unstoppable momentum. The one who has given it to God does not need constant reassurance. He does not beg. He does not pace the floor. He builds the nursery before the child comes. He sets the table before the guests arrive. He prepares in faith, because preparation is the clearest signal that you believe the answer is on its way. God cannot lie. The I am within you cannot be mocked. It brings forth what is spoken, what is imagined, what is emotionally accepted as true. So when you say, I am whole, and you feel it, it becomes flesh. When you say, I am provided for, and you carry that knowing with you, the supply appears. When you say, it is done, and you mean it, the you speak life, speak truth, speak only what you desire to see. And then walk away, not in indifference, but in confidence, like a master artist who lays down his brush, knowing the work is finished, like a composer who hears the music in his soul before a single note is played. This is the posture of the awakened soul. Let the world call it delusion, let others scoff. You need no agreement but your own. You need no permission to believe. You stand on holy ground when you trust the vision God has written upon your heart. The world may say impossible, but the law says inevitable. For what you see within must echo without. You may be tempted to doubt, to second guess, to check again. That is the old way. That is the path of those who live by sight. But you live by faith. You close your eyes and see the end. You hold that image with reverence. You let it fill your lungs, your bones, your very cells. You let it guide your steps, fuel your words, shape your thoughts. And in doing so, you become the miracle you once hoped for. Do not fear the silence. That is where the greatest work is done, in the hidden place, in the unseen realm. Beneath the surface, roots are growing, plans are forming, alignments are taking place, and all the while your only task is to stay faithful, to keep your inner altar lit with praise and expectation, to let the outer catch up to the inner, to stop asking when and start saying thank you. Thank you not because it's coming, thank you because it's done. Thank you because it is settled in spirit. Thank you because the word has gone forth and cannot return void. Thank you because the impossible has already bowed to the name you carry. Give it to God and don't take it back. Not with anxious thoughts, not with controlling behavior, not with fear disguised as planning. Leave it where it belongs, in the hands of the Creator who knows no limitation, no impossibility, no lack. And walk away with the likeness of one who knows the ending has already been written. That is the secret, that is the law, that is the key that opens every door. Give it to God, stop worrying, He will do the impossible. Because the impossible has no power against faith, because your assumption is creative, because your vision is divine, because your belief is the bridge that carries heaven to earth. There are those who believe that in order to receive, they must prove themselves worthy through effort, through penance, through constant striving. But the truth is far more radical, far more liberating. Worthiness was never the question. You were worthy the moment the desire was born in you, not because of what you've done or failed to do, but because of what you are. You are the vessel of the divine imagination. You are the dreamer through whom God sees. You do not need to convince God to move on your behalf. He has already moved. The moment you felt the desire, the answer was given. The moment you saw it in your mind's eye, it was complete in the invisible. It is done, final, finished. And now your only work is to align your thoughts, your emotions, your entire inner world with that unseen reality. That is what it means to live by faith. Not to hope faintly for a thing, but to know it, to assume it, to embody it. There is nothing more powerful than an individual who has chosen to live from the end. One who no longer asks, will it happen, but says instead, it has happened, and I'm simply walking into the evidence of it. That one cannot be shaken. That one cannot be dissuaded by delay, for they no longer see time as a threat. They understand that what is held faithfully in imagination must come, and that time is simply the servant of belief, not its master. You are the doorway through which the unseen becomes seen. The infinite seeks to express through you, not around you. But it can only do so to the extent that you allow it, not by pleading, but by yielding, not by worrying, but by receiving. And receiving is not passive, it is active in the realm of consciousness. It is choosing again and again to think only from the place where your desire is already fulfilled. Do not say, I'll believe it when I see it. Say, I believe it, therefore I will see it. The world has trained you to look outside for validation, but the Spirit speaks in reverse. It begins in the inner chambers of thought and feeling. That is the true cause. The outer is merely the shadow, the echo, the outpicturing of what you have already accepted within. You may say, but how do I know it will happen? You know it the same way you know you are alive. You feel it, you sense it in the stillness, you catch the rhythm of it like a familiar song returning to your memory. And once that song is playing within, you do not ask again. You hum it as you move through your day. You live with the melody in your bone. There is no striving in God's way. There is only surrender. But surrender is not defeat. It is power. It is the most confident stance a human being can take, to say, I no longer need to make this happen. I rest in the knowing that it is. This is the mind of a creator. This is the heart of one who walks with God. Fear whispers, it's too big. Faith replies, it is already done. Doubt says, you've never seen anything like this before. But the Spirit answers, it doesn't matter. I see it now in the inner realm, and that is all that is required. Every great act of creation began this way, with a vision, a declaration, and a refusal to yield to what appeared to be true. What appears is not always what is. The senses report a temporary version of reality, but what you hold in imagination is eternal. It does not fade, it does not change, it awaits only your consistency. Every time you feel the desire as though it were fulfilled, you are feeding the roots beneath the surface. Every time you return to that inner scene, you are watering the invisible, and soon the outer must comply. It cannot resist the force of a sustained inner knowing. This is not a trick. It is not magic, it is law. The same law that governs the sunrise, the seasons, the orbits of the planets. It is the law that what you assume to be true becomes fact. Not immediately, but inevitably. And in that inevitability, you must learn to rest. To rest does not mean to be inactive. It means to be anchored. It means to move only when moved by inspiration. It means to walk forward, not in frantic motion, but in quiet certainty. And that certainty carries with it a frequency that changes rooms, opens doors, and stirs unseen forces into action. There is nothing too hard for God, and if God is within you, then there is nothing too hard for you, when you align with that truth. The only thing standing in your way is the thought that something is in your way, and once that thought is dropped, the mountain crumbles. You are not here to struggle and survive. You are here to create, to imagine, to embody the desires of your heart until they take on flesh. And how do you do this? By becoming the version of you who already has it. Not someday, now. How does that version think, speak, act, walk? You must take on the role completely, as though you were an actor stepping into a part, not pretending, but being. You cannot hold two identities at once. You must release the old before the new can take hold. You must say goodbye to the version of you that worries, doubts, and fears. That version cannot walk into the promised land. Only the one who has rested in the finished work can pass through. Only the one who has released the outcome and taken on the state of the answer can see the answer unfold. The moment you stop rehearsing the problem and start rehearsing the solution, everything begins to shift. Your posture changes, your language changes, your decisions align with the new timeline, people respond to you differently, doors you didn't even knock on begin to swing open, not because you forced it, but because you became it. This is the mystery hidden from the ages, that the kingdom of heaven is within you, not above, not beyond, not later, but within. And when you enter that kingdom through your imagination, when you dwell there consistently, when you feel at home in the reality of your fulfilled desire, then the world outside has no choice but to conform. Your job is not to push the river, your job is to remove the dam, to clear away the mental and emotional blocks that say it can't happen, to dismantle the inner argument that keeps replaying lack, delay, or impossibility. You don't need to move the mountain. You need only to stop believing in the mountain. Everything you want is already here, vibrating at a frequency that you must attune to. You tune into it by feeling it real, by praising in advance, by assuming it until it becomes so natural that the old story no longer even tempts you. You are not being tested, you are being invited to trust in a higher way, invited to participate in the divine order, invited to surrender your effort and accept grace. But grace does not operate in worry. It moves freely only when the vessel is open. Open through faith, through gratitude, through surrender. There is no limit to what can happen when you live from the end. Healing can appear in a moment. Finances can shift overnight. Relationships can be restored without a single conversation. The impossible becomes possible, not by external force, but by internal certainty. The world cannot stop the one who walks in alignment, for that one is not reacting to life but creating it. That one does not seek signs because he is the sign. That one does not ask for proof because she is the evidence. That one does not delay in fear but moves in boldness, trusting the unseen more than the seen. And all of this becomes available the moment you truly give it to God, not in word alone, but in spirit and in truth. When you stop arguing for your limitations, when you stop rehearsing the old facts, when you stop clinging to how and when, and you simply know that it is done, then the whole universe begins to bend in your favor. Do not underestimate the power of one quiet, determined soul who has made a decision. It is mine, I have received it, I will live as though it were so. That one becomes unstoppable. That one begins to draw the right people, opportunities, and resources, not by chasing them, but by embodying the outcome. So return again to that secret place within. Return as often as it takes, not to wish, but to feel, not to beg, but to know, not to wait, but to walk in it. Let the old self fall away with every breath. Let the new state be your identity. Speak from it, move from it, live from it. And above all, refuse to worry. Worry is the admission that you have taken back what you gave to God. It is the sign that you no longer trust the process. But you were not made to worry. You were made to believe. You were not designed to chase, you were designed to attract. You were not placed here to merely survive. You were placed here to create, to expand, to overflow with the goodness of the unseen made visible. So, give it to God and leave it with Him. Rest in the knowing, dwell in the vision, walk in the end, feel the reality of it. Speak only from the place of fulfillment and watch. The impossible will bow to your faith, not because you forced it, but because you believed. It begins in the stillness, always in the stillness, not in the noise of the world or in the frantic search for solutions, but in that quiet space within where the whisper of the divine can finally be heard. That is where creation begins. That is where the impossible becomes not only possible but promised. And in that space, you are reminded again, it is not your burden to carry. It is not your battle to fight. Give it to God and then really give it. Don't leave it on the altar only to pick it up again in the next moment with anxious thoughts and fearful words. When you truly release it, when you fully surrender the desire into the hands of the one who gave it to you in the first place, something shifts. The weight lifts, the tension breaks. A strange, unfamiliar peace rises in you. That peace is the evidence. That peace is the confirmation that creation is underway, not outside of you, but within you and through you. You must understand that God does not withhold. The divine is not keeping good things from you to teach you a lesson or to test your patience. The only delays are within your own consciousness. The only obstacles are the ones you have agreed to believe in. When you stop rehearsing your doubts and begin rehearsing the promise, you begin to see clearly. You begin to move differently. There is a divine order that responds to your state of being. Not your wish, not your need, but your state. What are you embodying? What do you carry in your inner world, moment to moment? That is what matters. That is what shapes your life, more than all the prayers you speak aloud, more than all the actions you take in desperation. The state you live in is the magnet of your reality. If you say, I believe, but inwardly still feel panic, fear, or lack, the world will echo the truth of your inner contradiction. But when your inner world becomes fully persuaded, when your imagination and your emotions are aligned in the fulfillment of your desire, then nothing can stand in the way. Creation has already happened, and the outer world must catch up. This is not about positive thinking. This is about spiritual law. The law that says you cannot experience anything in the outer world that you have not first entertained in the inner one. So ask yourself, not what do I want, but what am I accepting as real? Am I walking in the world as if the answer has already come? Am I carrying myself with the calm confidence of one who knows the outcome is guaranteed? To give it to God is to step out of the realm of manipulation and control. It is to stop trying to force, bargain, and scheme. It is to stop praying out of fear and start creating out of faith. It is to speak not with pleading, but with the quiet authority of one who knows that God lives in them, not separate or distant, but present, active, immediate. If you knew that the very Spirit of the Almighty was forming your reality through every thought and feeling you hold, how carefully would you think? How consciously would you feel? You would no longer permit worry to linger. You would no longer allow doubt to have a voice. You would become fiercely protective of your inner world, not from fear, but from reverence. This is the discipline of faith. It is not passive, it is not idle, it is a sacred tending to the fire within. It is choosing again and again to come back to the vision, to see it, feel it, live in it, not just once a day, but continually, until it becomes your new dwelling place, until the state of fulfillment is so normal to you that the old self, the old story, the old fear no longer feel like home. You cannot receive something new while clinging to the identity of the one who lacks it. The version of you who lives in lack cannot enter the life of abundance. The version of you who worries cannot inherit the peace that passes understanding. The version of you who keeps looking to the problem cannot see the solution standing right in front of them. So the shift must happen inside. You must become it before you see it. You must walk as the healed before the healing is visible. You must speak as the successful before the success arrives. You must feel as the loved before the relationship appears. And when you do, life reorganizes itself to meet you where you are. The world is not your enemy. It is not resisting you. It is responding to you. It is mirroring back to you the assumptions you hold, the stories you believe, the identity you inhabit. Change the root and the fruit must change. That is the promise. That is the process. That is the peace that comes when you finally let go of the fight and let God be God. And yet, letting go is not laziness. It is not passivity. It is fierce trust. It is deep alignment. It is radical faith that says, even though I cannot see it, I know it is working for me. Even though the evidence hasn't yet shown itself, I rejoice now because I have received it in spirit. That joy is not optional. It is the vibration that matches your answered prayer. Worry never accomplishes anything. It only repeats the past in the disguise of a future. It plays the same movie over and over again, expecting a different ending. But when you shift into trust, you begin a new script. You flip the page. You turn the light on. And that light reveals what has been waiting for you all along. Everything you've ever asked for is already finished in God. You are not waiting on Him. He is waiting on you to believe, to receive, to allow. The delay is not a denial. It is a doorway. A sacred pause for you to align with the truth that the thing you seek is already yours. And once you are in agreement with that truth, you will find yourself in the flow. Things will begin to happen without your effort. Doors will open without your knocking. Opportunities will rise like the tide, effortless, graceful, divine. But it starts with a decision, a simple, profound decision to let it go, to stop treating God like a faraway force that must be bargained with, to stop treating your desire like something impossible, to stop treating your imagination like a child's game, and start recognizing it for what it truly is, the place where God speaks. Your imagination is the language of spirit. It is the divine tool of creation. It is not fantasy, it is prophecy. What you dwell on within, you will dwell in without. So honor it, use it, return to it with reverence, build the inner temple until it feels more real than the outer world. And when that happens, when you can walk through your day with that image clear in your heart and that peace strong in your chest, the manifestation will be inevitable. It cannot not come. That is how law works. It cannot fail because it was never dependent on the world. It was never dependent on who approves of you or who doubts you or how things look today. It was only ever dependent on what you believe, what you truly, deeply, unwaveringly believe. So, don't check the clock. Don't ask how long. That question belongs to the old self. That question is rooted in fear. The new you does not ask when. The new you lives in now. Now it is done. Now it is mine. Now I walk as one who has received, and that walk will carry you right into the reality you once only imagined. Give it to God. Speak the end. Feel the joy. Live from the vision. And every morning you wake, return to that truth like a song. It is done. It is done. It is done. Let that be your rhythm, your breath, your certainty. And in time, perhaps sooner than you ever expected, the world will rise to meet your inner decree. What was once a prayer will become your present. What was once a hope will become your history. What was once impossible will stand before you as the natural result of spiritual law, all because you gave it to God and you believed. So now, stand firm, not in striving, but in stillness. Let your soul rest in the truth you've claimed. What you have seen within is already yours. What you have surrendered, God has already answered. And what you carry now in faith will soon clothe itself in form. Do not return to fear. Do not rehearse the old doubts. Simply remain anchored, expectant, full of quiet joy. For you have given it to God, and that means it is finished. The impossible is unfolding, the unseen is becoming seen, and your only task now is to walk forward as if it were already done, because it is. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I invite you to consider something so simple yet so powerful that it shapes every corner of your world. I invite you to look within, not to the noise outside, not to circumstance or condition, but to the sacred theater of your imagination. For within that silent chamber lies the birthplace of every reality you have ever known. You may think the world happens to you, but I tell you, it happens through you. Every joy, every sorrow, every triumph, every defeat. It is not the hand of fate, but the hand of imagination, guided either blindly or with intention. The moment you accept this truth is the moment you hold the key to everything. What you imagine with God becomes real, not someday, not somewhere distant in time, but now in seed form. The outer world is only the harvest of thoughts, deeply felt, persistently held. Your imagination is divine. It is not a daydream, not mere fantasy. It is the very workshop of creation. And the power behind it, that still, small voice within, that which many call God. To imagine lovingly, to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, is to align yourself with divine law. When you feel as though your desire is already yours, when you walk, talk, and breathe as though it is done, you impress it upon the deeper mind, and what is impressed must be expressed. That is the law. You have imagined your way to this very moment. Every relationship, every opportunity, every challenge, you summoned them by what you believed and felt to be true, perhaps unknowingly, but the law does not require awareness to function, only feeling. If you feared it, you fed it. If you longed for it with certainty, you called it near. So I say to you, use your imagination as you would a sacred tool. Do not squander it on fear or doubt or revenge. Dare to believe in the beautiful, the noble, the good. Dwell in it until it feels natural, until it feels like home, and then release it not in desperation but in faith. For what you have conceived in feeling is already born in spirit. The world is clay and your inner vision shapes it. But it is not just vision, it is vision fused with belief, soaked in emotion, wrapped in repetition. That is how mountains move. That is how doors open without keys. That is how the invisible becomes seen. So tonight ask yourself not merely what you want, but what you are willing to become in mind and spirit, because your world will always reflect the image you hold within. Choose wisely, imagine wisely, because what you imagine with God becomes real. What you imagine with God becomes real. This is not poetry, it is principle. It is the rhythm of life itself, quietly and faithfully playing in the background of every waking moment, waiting only for your conscious participation. You are not a passive observer in this world. You are not at the mercy of luck or fate or circumstance. You are the operant power. You are the chooser, and the choosing happens within. Each time you dare to imagine something greater, something finer, something more in line with the divine pattern of love and abundance, you are not merely hoping, you are creating. Feel the difference. Hope begs, imagination assumes. Hope waits, imagination lives in the end. Hope says, maybe one day. Imagination says, it is so now. And the world, like a faithful mirror, reflects the latter. You are not separate from the source of creation. It breathes in you, moves through you, expresses as you. When you sit quietly and close your eyes, when you dwell in the scene of your heart's desire fulfilled, you are not pretending. You are entering the realm from which all reality springs. The invisible realm, the eternal, the real. And the moment you feel it to be true, the moment you live in that imaginal act with conviction, you set in motion a law more powerful than anything the world can oppose. The outer world rearranges itself to match the inner state. This is not something you try to make happen with force. It is something you allow by remaining faithful to the assumption that it already is. Everything you now experience, you once imagined. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you lived in the feeling of it long enough for it to take root. And now you walk among the fruits of yesterday's inner garden. This is not to shame you. It is to empower you. Because if you created what is, you can create what will be. It is never too late to change the script. And the script does not change by pleading or hustling or fighting against what you see. It changes by assuming the end and making that end so vivid, so real, so emotionally charged in your imagination that the world cannot help but catch up. You see, life is not reacting to your wishes, it is reflecting your assumptions. And assumptions, once embodied, harden into fact. So what are you assuming right now about yourself, about others, about what's possible? Are you living as though the future you want is already here, or are you waiting for proof before you believe? Because belief is the proof. Feeling is the secret. When you walk in the state of already being what you desire, when you move through your day with the confidence of someone who already has the thing they used to long for, you call it into being. It must come, not because of who you are in the world, but because of who you are in consciousness. The world bows to your inner conviction. This is not magic, it is law. And law does not play favorites. It doesn't care how long you've struggled or how many mistakes you've made. It only responds to your present inner state. So if you would change your life, don't wait for the world to change first. Go within. Change the feeling. Change the inner conversation. Change the movie playing in your mind, and stay there. Not for a minute, not for a moment of inspiration, but as a way of life. Live from the end, not toward it, from it. This is the greatest secret of manifestation. When you imagine with God, you are imagining from the source of all things. There is no lack there, no doubt, no delay, only the perfect fulfillment of your desire as if it were always true, as if it had never not been true. And when you feel that way long enough, consistently enough, lovingly enough, the world bends itself to make it visible. You don't need to tell others. You don't need to convince or explain. What you do in the silence of your soul is more powerful than anything you could say aloud. Withdraw from appearances. Ignore the evidence of the senses if it contradicts your aim. Let your faith in the unseen be greater than your fear of the seen. Because what you sustain in imagination will become the seen. The world may say, be realistic, but I say to you, be imaginative, because what the world calls realistic is just what has already been made visible by imagination. It is old news. It is the echo of a former assumption. You are not here to live in echoes. You are here to sing the new song, to see what others do not yet see, to feel what the world has not yet caught up to know in your bones, in your breath, that what you imagine with God becomes fact. Take a moment. Think of a desire close to your heart. Not one you think is reasonable, not one you believe you should want, but one that sets your soul on fire, one that whispers to you in quiet hours, one that makes you feel alive. Now ask yourself, if it were true right now, how would I feel? How would I carry myself? How would I speak, move, breathe? What thoughts would fill my mind? What assumptions would I naturally hold? Now dare to dwell there, not just in fantasy, but in faith. Faith is not blind. Faith sees what the eyes cannot. Faith is the evidence of things not seen, the substance of things hoped for. Faith is imagination married to conviction. When you persist in that inner feeling, when you make it so real to you that the outer world becomes irrelevant, it must materialize. You don't chase it. You don't beg for it. You become it. And in becoming it, you draw all things necessary into your world. People, places, opportunities. They come as if by accident, but you'll know better. You'll know they are simply the visible bridge between your inner state and its outer reflection. This is how the meek inherit the earth, not through striving, but through stillness, through the quiet mastery of inner reality, through the wise use of imagination aligned with love. Because when you imagine lovingly for yourself, for others, you become a vessel for divine will. And divine will is always fullness, always peace, always joy. Guard your imagination then as you would a sacred flame. Don't lend it to fear or gossip or complaint. Don't let it drift aimlessly into worry or regret. Keep it anchored in the truth of what you want. And when old patterns try to drag you back, remind yourself, I am not my past. I am not my current condition. I am not even what others see. I am what I assume myself to be. And I assume now that I am blessed, that I am guided, that I am whole, that I am loved and loving. That what I desire is mine because I have made it real in imagination. And what is real in imagination is just as real, if not more so, than what is presently visible. It only waits for the right season to bloom. This is why patience is not passive. Patience is trust. It is knowing that the seed already planted will grow as long as you do not dig it up with doubt. It is knowing that your assumption, once fixed and felt, will attract every condition needed for its fulfillment. You don't have to know how, you only have to know that it will. Rest in that knowing. Let it calm your nerves. Let it quiet your questions. The same divine power that imagined galaxies into being lives in you. It does not fail. It does not forget. It does not withhold. It gives according to your assumption. It reflects what you dare to feel is already true. So I ask you, one more time, what are you imagining? Not just casually, but consistently. What inner state are you nurturing, feeding, repeating? Because that is what you will live. Not what you want, not what you hope, but what you believe yourself to be in the secret places of your soul. If you would change your world, change your inner speech. Speak to yourself as the person who already has what they once sought. Walk into rooms with the posture of someone who knows their worth. Act not in pretense, but in inner alignment with the truth of your fulfilled desire. Let your imagination outgrow your memory. Let it stretch beyond the facts of your current world. Let it become the vision of what can be and already is in spirit. And the world, though it may seem slow to catch on, will rise to meet you there. It always does. It always does, because it must. The world has no choice but to echo what you have fixed in consciousness. It is not a matter of time, but a matter of assumption. When you persist in the assumption long enough, time bends to it. Circumstance bends to it. People, even the ones who seem most unrelated to your dream, will play the exact roles needed to bring your desire to pass. Not because they intend to, but because they must. They are moved like actors on a stage, responding to the lines you have already written in the script of imagination. The deeper part of you, what some call the higher self, the God within, the I am, knows this truth already. It waits patiently for you to remember. Every time you return to imagination, to the state of the wish fulfilled, you are coming back home. You are returning to the source of all manifestation, the source of all reality. You are no longer looking to the world to tell you who you are telling the world who you are, and the world obeys. So you must make it a habit, a discipline, a way of life. The disciplined use of imagination is not restrictive, it is liberating. It frees you from reaction. It makes you the cause, not the effect. And when you live as the cause, nothing can shake you. Storms may come, but you know they are temporary. Delays may arise, but you know they are only illusions. Because you have seen the end, you have felt the end. And having assumed the end, it is yours. Do not mistake persistence in imagination for mere repetition. It is not about how many times you say the words or visualize the scene. It is about how deeply you feel the truth of it. One moment of deep, rich, vivid inner experience is more powerful than 1,000 hollow affirmations. To feel it real is to ignite the fire. And once lit, it must burn through every layer of resistance until the outer world reshapes itself to match your inner conviction. You see, the imagination is the creative power of God individualized in you. It is not a gift given to the fortunate. It is the essence of who you are. The world was imagined into being. All that is seen was once unseen. Everything man has made, from the smallest tool to the grandest monument, began in imagination. And yet we think nothing of wasting this power on worry, doubt, and limitation. We give it away to fear. We loan it to negative self-talk. And then we wonder why our lives mirror back to us chaos and lack. You were never meant to live by default. You were meant to live by design. And that design begins with what you accept as true in imagination. Whatever you would see expressed outwardly, you must first claim inwardly. Whatever you would hold in your hands, you must first hold in your mind. And not as a distant hope, but as a present fact. I am, not I will be. It is, not it could be. For all things are possible to the one who believes, not in mere possibilities, but in fulfilled facts. Let that be your compass, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is the one thing you must return to again and again. In quiet moments, in the midst of chaos, when things seem to fall apart and when everything goes right, return to that inner state. Let it become your dwelling place. Let it become your atmosphere. Because what you frequently imagine becomes your reality. Not through force, not through effort, but through spiritual law, which never fails. Many believe that imagining a better life is wishful thinking, but wishful thinking is unfocused, passive, and lacks faith. The imagination I speak of is active, deliberate, and fused with feeling. It does not wait, it declares, it does not hope, it assumes. It lives in the state of already having, already being, already doing, and that state draws to it the conditions that match it. No prayer goes unanswered. No sincere act of imagination is ever wasted. Every time you imagine lovingly, every time you feel a truth that contradicts the senses, you sow a seed. You may not see it grow immediately, but do not be fooled. Something has shifted. The world may look the same for a while, but behind the curtain, everything is changing. The stage is being set. The characters are being moved. The doors are being prepared to open. So persist. When the evidence says otherwise, persist. When doubt knocks, persist. Not with strain, but with confidence. Remind yourself that what you imagine with God becomes real, not by effort, but by law. If it is truly assumed, it must come to pass. If it is truly felt, it must find expression. Now understand this clearly. Imagination must be fused with belief to create. Mere mental images are not enough. It is belief that gives imagination its power. It is the feeling of certainty, the emotional conviction that impresses upon the deeper self. That is why imagining without feeling leads to frustration. You must feel the truth of it. You must dwell in it long enough for it to become familiar, natural, inevitable. Do not worry about how it will come. That is not your work. Your work is to assume the end and live in its feeling. Let the divine intelligence within take care of the means. It knows ways and connections far beyond your current understanding. When you interfere with the how, you often limit the miracle. So release the need to figure it out. Just feel it real and remain faithful. Some may ask, but what if I fail? What if I imagine and nothing changes? To that I say, you can never truly fail if you persist. Failure only comes when you stop imagining, when you give up the vision, when you abandon the assumption. The moment you pick it up again with renewed faith, the process continues. Your only task is to return to the state of the wish fulfilled, over and over, lovingly, confidently, joyfully. Even in the midst of the opposite, you can hold to the vision. That is true mastery. Anyone can believe when the evidence is there, but to believe in spite of what you see, that is divine power. That is creation. That is the mark of someone who knows their union with the source. Every great change in your life will begin first in imagination. There is no exception. Whether it is healing, abundance, love, purpose, peace, it begins as an inner experience. So make your inner world rich. Fill it with beauty, with faith, with confidence in the good. Make your inner conversations kind and bold. Speak to yourself as you would if you already had all you desired. Think thoughts of success, of peace, of fulfillment, not because you're trying to trick the world, but because you're shaping it. If you only knew how powerful you truly are, you would never again imagine anything you do not wish to experience. You would never again speak carelessly about yourself or your circumstances. You would never again accept limitation as truth. You would guard your inner world with holy reverence, because you would understand the imagination is not just creative, it is divine, and its partner is God. What you imagine with God becomes real. Not maybe, not someday, it becomes real. The moment you feel it real, it becomes part of you. And what is part of you must find expression. So feel it now, love it now, be it now, and let the world catch up. Your life is clay, and your imagination is the sculptor. There are no limits but those you accept. There are no delays but those you entertain. Every moment is a new chance to claim a new reality. Every second a doorway into a new world. Enter it boldly, enter it lovingly, and live from it, not toward it. Because when you do, when you really do, the world will change, and you will know, not by theory but by experience, that what you imagined with God has become real. The most sacred thing you possess is your ability to imagine, for it is there that God speaks in first person. It is not outside you, not in some distant place above the sky, but right where you are, thinking as you, dreaming as you, believing as you. When you say, I am, you are invoking the name of God. Whatever you place after those two words, you call into being. If you say, I am poor, you are not describing a condition, you are declaring a truth. If you say, I am loved, you are not merely expressing a wish, you are shaping a reality. So watch yourself. Listen closely to your inner conversations. They matter more than any outer action. They matter more than what anyone else says about you, more than your job title, your bank balance, your relationships. What you whisper to yourself when no one is watching, that is the seed of your world. The quietest assumption held with feeling will eventually outpicture itself, even if the world around you insists otherwise. Do you want to know where your future is heading? Don't look to a psychic. Look to what you consistently feel to be true in your imagination. What scenes do you replay before sleep? What do you assume when you're walking through your day? Do you live in expectation or dread, in confidence or doubt? You cannot plant the seed of fear and reap the fruit of joy. You cannot water a garden of limitation and expect abundance. You must begin where it all begins, with feeling, with belief, with imagination. And the most powerful use of imagination is not to escape reality, but to create it. When you imagine, not for fantasy's sake, but with intention, when you fuse your desire with feeling, faith, and repetition, you are entering the realm of miracles, not by chance, but by law. And this law will never fail you, not once, if you remain faithful to the inner state. You must claim it boldly, not timidly, not halfway, boldly. You must say, this is who I am, this is what I have, this is what is mine, even if the world tells you the opposite, especially if the world tells you the opposite. That is the moment you choose. Will I believe the seen or the unseen? Will I side with fear or with faith? Will I remain loyal to my senses or to the deeper knowing within me? What you imagine with God becomes real, because God operates in you through your assumption, not through the begging of your lips, but through the certainty of your soul. When you feel yourself into a new state, a new identity, and you refuse to leave it, the world must conform. It may take days, weeks, or months, but it must come, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. You are always creating. This is not something that turns off and on. Whether in joy or worry, in hope or doubt, you are constantly imagining. The question is not if you are creating, but what you are creating. And you will know what you have created by the life you live today. But do not be discouraged. For just as you once imagined your way into limitation, you can now imagine your way into freedom. You can revise the past, heal the present, and shape the future, all from the center of your being. There is no power outside of you greater than the power within. You may feel small, but you are not. You may feel forgotten, but you are not. You may feel broken, but in truth you are whole. For you are made in the image of the Creator, not in form, but in function. The function to create. And that function is imagination. Let it become sacred to you. Protect it. Nourish it. Don't throw it away on worry and fear, on what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. Use it for what it was given. To dream wisely, to envision boldly, to feel into a new life, until that new life becomes so familiar, so alive, so real within you, that the outer world must obey. You will begin to notice subtle changes first. You will feel lighter, more at ease. You will begin to carry yourself differently. You will stop reacting to the world and begin responding from a place of power. People will notice something in you, something calm, grounded, magnetic. They won't know what it is, but you will. You'll know that you've tapped into the source, that you've begun to create from the inside out. Do not let others distract you with their opinions or their doubts. Most people live as though imagination is childish, naive, even foolish. But that's only because they've forgotten what they once knew as children, that everything real was once unreal, that the invisible precedes the visible, that the dream comes before the doing. And if you are to reclaim your power, you must remember what they have forgotten. You must remember that you are not here to live life as it is, but as it could be, as it should be, according to the divine vision you hold in your soul. This is not denial, this is creation. This is not escapism, this is transformation. You are not ignoring facts, you are overriding them with truth. And truth is not what is seen, truth is what is felt, claimed, and lived within, until the scene is remade in its image. If you could only hold one belief in this life, let it be this, that imagination and God are one. That what you dare to believe with love and conviction becomes real, not always on your timeline, not always in the way you expect, but always in perfect alignment with your assumption. The world will surprise you, not because it is random, but because it is obedient. It listens not to your words, but to your feeling, not to your logic, but to your state. So check your state, do it often, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Ask yourself, what am I assuming right now? Am I assuming lack or abundance? Am I assuming love or loneliness? Am I assuming ease or struggle? Whatever you're assuming, you are aligning with. Whatever you're aligning with, you are creating. And the beautiful thing is this, your power lies in the present, not in what happened yesterday, not in what might come tomorrow, but in what you are feeling and believing now. This moment is the birthplace of all that will come. So bless it, use it, shape it, claim in this moment what you desire, and do not waver. Feel the end. See yourself already there, not as a distant hope, but as a present reality. Feel the relief, the joy, the confidence of already having it. Hear the words of congratulations. See the proof on paper, the smile on a loved one's face, the doors that were once shut swinging open. Breathe it in, let it move through your body, and then go about your day not as someone hoping, but as someone who knows. You'll find yourself walking taller. You'll notice that decisions come easier, that opportunities begin to appear without effort, that life begins to echo your inner world more quickly, and each time it does, you will trust even more. You will stop needing signs, because your conviction will become the sign. You will stop needing evidence, because your assumption will carry more weight than circumstance. And then the miracle will appear quietly, naturally, as though it had always been so. And you smile, not because you're surprised, but because you knew, because you felt it, because you lived it in imagination before it came to pass. That's the moment everything changes. Not when the outer world shifts, but when the inner world becomes unshakable. You were born to imagine wisely. You were born to live from vision, not reaction. You were born to remember that the unseen is more real than the seen, that the seed is the promise, that your imagination, united with divine intelligence, is the most creative force on earth. So choose this moment to begin anew, not by changing what's outside, but by changing what's within. Assume the best. Feel the truth of your desire already fulfilled. Live in the end again and again until it feels like home. And then watch, not with anxiety, but with quiet assurance, as the world transforms to meet you there. Because it will. It always will. Because it always will. You are not waiting for the world is waiting for you to assume the posture of the one who already is, already has, already knows. You do not need permission to imagine boldly. You do not need anyone's agreement or approval to claim what is yours in spirit. For the spirit within you is complete, whole, lacking nothing. And when you imagine from that place, the world bows in response. Everything is responding to you, though you may have thought otherwise. Perhaps you've believed that you had to beg, work harder, or suffer longer to deserve what you wanted. But the truth is, deserving has nothing to do with it. It is not about effort, but alignment. You receive not because you have earned, but because you have assumed. You get what you accept as true for yourself, not what you think you're worthy of in theory, but what you feel to be natural. And what feels natural now is the greatest clue to what you'll see next. This is why change doesn't come by chance, but by choice. By choosing again and again to inhabit a new feeling, a new assumption, until it becomes second nature. When you feel wealthy, you attract the forms that reflect it. When you feel loved, love appears. When you feel successful, success meets you. The outer must reflect the inner. It's not a maybe, it's a must. But you cannot trick the law. You cannot fake the feeling with empty affirmations while deep down clinging to fear. You must believe it. And belief is not found in your head. It is found in your heart, in your body, in your mood, in the quality of your thoughts and actions. If you believe you are the one who has it, you act like it, think like it, feel like it, even if no one else can see it yet. And soon they will. You may not know how it will come. It may come in ways that surprise you. That's not your concern. Your concern is the state, the invisible root, not the visible branch. You don't need to predict the steps. You just need to walk in the feeling of the end. The how belongs to the divine. It is your trust that opens the way. And let me remind you again, you are not imagining alone. You are not wishing from a place of emptiness. When you imagine, you are communing with the highest intelligence there is. The God power in you does not speak in words. It speaks in vision, in feeling, in knowing. And when you align with that frequency, when you surrender to that inner certainty, creation becomes effortless. It becomes natural. It becomes inevitable. Do not worry if you can't see the full picture yet. The seed does not need to see the tree to grow. It simply unfolds according to the pattern placed within it. And your desire, your true, burning, unshakable desire, is that pattern. It was placed within you for a reason, not to torment you, not to taunt you, but to call you into creation, to awaken your sleeping power, to remind you that you are here to shape life, not to be shaped by it. Most people sleep through life, reacting, surviving, doing what they're told. But you are being called to awaken. You are being called to imagine consciously, deliberately, wisely. Not to wait for the world to show you who you are, but to show the world what is possible through a being who dares to feel it real. It doesn't matter how many times you've failed. It doesn't matter how long you've waited. The moment you assume the new state and persist in it, your past becomes irrelevant. The past is not a sentence, it is a shadow. And it cannot hold you when you step into the light of a new assumption. Stop telling the story of what went wrong. Start telling the story of what is right now in imagination. That is the only place transformation begins. You are not here to fix the world. You are here to fix your vision of it. And as you change your vision, the world changes with it. Relationships shift, finances shift, health shifts. It all begins within. When you begin to see others through the lens of love and wholeness, they begin to mirror that. When you refuse to give energy to lack, lack begins to fade. When you stop expecting disappointment, life stops disappointing you. Expectation is powerful. It is imagination in motion. What you expect, you attract. What you anticipate, you invite. So expect joy, expect breakthroughs, expect miracles, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. Expect them because you have already seen them in your mind, already felt them in your heart, already accepted them as done. That is not delusion, it is faith. Faith is not hoping that something might happen. Faith is knowing it already has. Faith is standing in the middle of a storm and saying, I am safe. Faith is looking at a bank account with zeros and saying, I am abundant. Faith is waking up to the same routine and saying something new and wonderful is happening now. Faith speaks from the end, and imagination is its voice. When you combine imagination and faith, you become unstoppable. Not because you control the world, but because you command the inner world. And the inner world is the cause of all things. This is the law. You cannot escape it, only use it. So why not use it with love? Why not imagine the best for yourself and for others? Why not dwell in the feeling of answered prayer? Every great life, every invention, every revolution, every transformation started in the unseen. Someone somewhere dared to imagine differently, dared to believe beyond what their eyes could see, and so they rose. Not because they were chosen, but because they chose to believe in a world not yet visible, chose to honor the vision more than the facts, chose to live as if it were true, and in doing so made it true. You are no different. You have the same power, the same faculty, the same divine inheritance. But it requires courage, it requires persistence, it requires being so loyal to the inner reality that no outer condition can break your faith. Even if you stumble, even if you doubt, return. Return to the feeling, return to the vision, return to the end. It is always there for you. It is waiting for your yes. And when you give it your yes, when you imagine, not as a beggar, but as a co-creator, you step into a rhythm that cannot fail. You begin to live not by effort, but by flow. Life begins to meet you with grace. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop forcing and start allowing. And the things that once seemed far away begin to come closer, not because the world changed, but because you did. You may not notice the shift at first. It may be subtle. A new idea, a sudden opportunity, a different way of seeing someone, a lightness in your step. But it builds and it grows until suddenly you look around and realize, this is the life I once imagined. And then you'll smile, not because you're surprised, but because you remember. You remember the nights you spent imagining in silence. You remember the mornings you felt it real before the day began. You remember the decision you made to no longer live by sight, but by vision. And that memory will become the foundation of your faith. The proof that what you imagine with God becomes real. Always. It is not superstition. It is not luck. It is not wishful thinking. It is law. And you are the living proof of it. So let this moment be your turning point. Let this breath be your new beginning. Do not wait for the world to give you permission. Do not wait for the evidence to believe. Believe now, imagine now, feel it now, live it now. And watch with quiet joy as the invisible becomes visible, the hoped for becomes fact, and your imagined reality becomes the only one you know. Because this is how reality bends, not to force, not to desperation, not to struggle, but to assumption fused with feeling held steadily within. Reality bends to the one who knows, not the one who hopes. It bends to the inner atmosphere that says, without question, it is already done. And this knowing does not come from evidence, it comes from conviction. And conviction is born in imagination, then nourished through repetition and finally embodied as your natural state. You do not have to prove anything to anyone. The only proof required is within, if you can feel it to be true, so deeply that it becomes your mood, your tone, your identity, the world will confirm it. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. You are not trying to create something outside of yourself. You are revealing by the light of your imagination what is already yours in the invisible. This is the truth most forget. They chase, hustle, and grind, thinking the outer world is where the treasure lies. But the treasure is within. It always was. When you imagine something and claim it with your full being, the outer world becomes a servant of that vision. People, opportunities, events, they rearrange themselves to fulfill what you have already accepted. And so you must be careful not to use this divine gift against yourself. Don't rehearse fears and call it being realistic. Don't dwell on what went wrong and call it processing. Don't return again and again to thoughts of lack, unworthiness, rejection, and think you are simply being cautious. You are planting seeds. You are writing upon the subconscious that this is who you are, and the subconscious will always bring it forth. This is why imagination is not child's play. It is divine play. The most serious work you will ever do is in silence, behind closed eyes, when no one is watching and no one applauds. That is where life is changed. That is where miracles are born, not in noise, not in public, but in stillness. When you dare to assume that your inner world is more real than the outer, and that feeling is more powerful than fact. You do not have to fight the old, you only need to imagine the new. You don't have to resist what is, you only need to surrender to what could be, and feel it now as what is. It is so simple and yet so profound. You do not overcome darkness by analyzing it. You overcome it by turning on the light. And the light is imagination, guided by love, anchored by faith, sustained by persistence. Some will tell you that your dreams are too big, that you need to be practical, that you should settle. Smile at them. Forgive them. They are simply reflecting the limits they have accepted for themselves. But you must walk a different path. You must live not according to what is, but according to what could be. You must be willing to look like a fool to the world in order to be faithful to the unseen. For what the world calls delusion, God calls faith. And what the world calls fantasy, the wise know to be creation in its earliest form. Do not let their unbelief shake your inner vision. Hold to it, protect it, water it with love and feeling. Speak of it not to everyone but to yourself constantly. Let it be your companion in solitude. Let it be your compass in uncertainty. Every great leap in your life will require this quiet defiance of appearances. You will have to say, even in the midst of contradiction, I know who I am. I know what is mine. I know what I have imagined. And when the outer world shouts no, you must whisper yes, and feel that yes in your bones. That is power. That is mastery. That is living from within. And from that place you will begin to see the strange and beautiful unfolding of reality. Synchronicities will appear. Things will work out coincidentally. What seemed delayed for years will manifest suddenly, not because you forced it, but because you finally believed it. And belief is the true magnet. Belief is the womb of manifestation. Understand that the law does not work with emotionless logic. It works with feeling. You can think 1,000 thoughts a day, but it is the one you feel that becomes flesh. It is not the words of your affirmations, but the emotional charge behind them that matters. If you say, I am wealthy and feel poor, the feeling wins. But if you say, I am abundant and feel rich, even for a moment, that moment is enough to plant the seed. So learn to live in the feeling. That is your real work, not to change the outer, but to change the inner atmosphere so fully that the outer must conform. It is not about effort, it is about inner consent. Do you agree with the version of yourself that already has the life you want? If not, you must begin to. You must speak as that version, feel as that version, act as that version. Quietly, humbly, consistently, even when no one notices, even when no one claps, especially then, because the world sees what is. But the awakened imagination sees what will be, and it holds to that vision, with tenderness and strength until it becomes what is. It is not enough to imagine once, you must return, again and again, to the scene, to the feeling, to the state, until it becomes familiar, natural, automatic. until you no longer try to believe, because you simply do. That is the goal. To become so saturated in the assumption that you no longer have to remember it, it becomes who you are. And who you are will always determine what you experience. Let no one steal your vision. Let no voice, however loud, cause you to doubt what you have seen in the silence of your soul. You do not need evidence to begin. You only need imagination and faith. You do not need to know every step. You only need to know the end. Live from that end, speak from it, think from it, and let the steps reveal themselves one by one as you walk. This is the greatest power you possess. Not your skills, not your knowledge, but your inner state. That is what you take into every room, every opportunity, every encounter. And that is what life responds to. You may fool others with words, you may dress up lack in confidence, but life does not respond to what you say, it responds to what you are in consciousness. You cannot fake your state, but you can change it. And to change it, you do not need to travel or spend or earn or wait. You need only to sit, breathe, and feel, to close your eyes and enter the state of the fulfilled desire, to dwell there, to live there, to think from it until it is no longer a practice, but a natural way of being. That is where transformation begins, not in the world, but in you. And when it begins in you, it is inevitable that it will express itself. The law demands it. Your only task is to persist, not forcefully, but faithfully. Persist in the inner knowing, in the chosen mood, in the assumption that all is well and becoming better. And as you do, the world will begin to echo back your belief, your vision, your truth. You will walk into rooms and feel the shift. You will speak and your words will carry weight. You will live, not in reaction, but in creation. And all because you remembered what others forgot. That imagination, when united with divine feeling, becomes reality. Always. So I leave you with this. The power is within you. It always has been. You are not waiting for permission, not waiting for the world to catch up, not hoping for luck or chance. You are the dreamer, the imagineer, the silent creator of your world. What you dare to assume is true, what you feel deeply and live from consistently, must be made visible. It is law, not luck. And when you imagine with God, boldly, lovingly, faithfully, you do not just shape your own reality. You awaken others to the truth that they can shape theirs too. Use this gift wisely. Imagine well and live from the end, because what you imagine with God becomes real. Close your eyes now, breathe deeply and center yourself, not in the chaos around you, but in the stillness within. The world may rage, opinions may clash, and noise may rise like a storm, but you are not required to participate in that storm. You are not the echo of what is happening. You are the cause of what is to come. The outer world is only the mirror, and the mirror does not instruct the face. When life presses in and demands a reaction, do not give it your energy. Rise above it. Let it pass, as clouds pass before the sun. You are not the cloud, you are the light. To react is to descend into a state that is not your own. To rise is to remember the truth, that you are not ruled by what happens, you are ruled by what you accept as true within yourself. You must not allow circumstances to dictate your inner state. That is the mistake of the many. They wait for peace to be shown to them, unaware that peace must first be chosen within them. So choose it now. Feel it, not in response to what the world is doing, but because it is your nature. Calm is not the reward of a quiet life, it is the decision of a quiet mind. And the one who masters that calm commands the storm without ever raising their voice. Imagine now that you are standing in the middle of an argument, in the middle of betrayal, in the middle of misunderstanding, and yet nothing in you moves. Imagine how powerful you must be to witness chaos without absorbing it. That is true strength. That is true mastery. And that is how you rise. You rise not by controlling others, but by mastering yourself. You rise not by proving your point, but by holding your peace. You rise not by shouting louder, but by becoming so rooted in truth that the noise of the world cannot penetrate your stillness. And when you are still, you are powerful, because the world cannot move a soul that is already anchored. This is not weakness, it is dominion. It is the kingdom within. It is the silence that shapes mountains, the stillness that rearranges outcomes. When you remain unbothered, you are not ignoring reality. You are commanding a higher one. You do not need to explain yourself to everyone. You do not need to defend your name in every room where it is spoken. You do not need to chase validation. Your stillness is your response. Your elevation is your evidence. Stay in your power. Stay in your peace, because the moment you lower yourself to argue, to prove, to fight in the dust, you forget that you are the one seated in the heavens. The world will give you plenty of opportunities to react. That is its design. But those who are truly awakened know better. They know that every reaction is a surrender of creative power. They know that the moment they respond in haste, they have allowed the outer world to shape the inner man. So they stop, they breathe, they remember, and they return to their authority. There is nothing to defend when you know who you are. There is nothing to chase when you have already assumed the end. There is nothing to fear when you realize the world is only a reflection of the beliefs you hold firmly and quietly within. So do not react. Rise. Rise above gossip. Rise above judgment. Rise above fear. Rise above the temptation to explain yourself endlessly to those not ready to understand. Some will misread your calm as weakness, but let them, for they know not the fire you hold within. Some will call your stillness passivity, but they cannot see the mountains you are moving in silence. Let them speak. Let the waves crash. Let the winds howl. You are not the storm. You are the command that silences it. You are not the waves. You are the authority that says, "Peace, be still," and watches the waters obey. So stay there, stay calm, stay grounded, stay anchored in the unseen truth, and let the world adjust itself to your stillness. Let it bend to your peace. Let it realign to your clarity, because it always does. It always must. Keep breathing, keep believing, keep rising. Do not let the outer world disturb the inner sanctuary. What you see with your eyes is not the final word. What you hear with your ears is not the ultimate authority. The truth lies deeper in the silence between thoughts, in the awareness that precedes every reaction. That is where your power lives. That is where you must return, again and again. Especially when the world would pull you out of yourself. You do not need to match the energy of what confronts you. You are not a mirror. You are the original. You are the scriptwriter, not the actor tossed around by the scene. Every moment that asks you to lower your vibration, every person who seeks to provoke, every circumstance that seems designed to agitate, these are invitations, not to react, but to remember, not to collapse, but to ascend. It is not that you do not feel. You feel everything. But you no longer let feelings command you. You observe them. You let them rise and fall like waves, knowing that you are the ocean. Anger may come, but it does not stay. Fear may whisper, but it does not take root. You are no longer a guest in your own consciousness. You are the host. You decide what is welcome and what is not. This is not detachment born of denial. This is mastery born of deep knowing. You are not aloof. You are anchored. You are not numb. You are neutral. And that neutrality is your power, because it allows you to choose from vision, not from reflex. The man who reacts is led by the world. The man who remains unmoved leads the world. That is the secret. That is the path. You must become the one who sees the attack, but does not let it shape his self-image. You must become the one who witnesses loss yet does not internalize defeat. You must become the one who hears the noise but remains tuned only to the frequency of truth. Others may call this weakness because they do not understand it. They believe strength is in the fist, in the raised voice, in the pointed finger. But true strength is in restraint. True power is quiet. It does not beg to be seen, it does not need to defend itself. It knows what it is, and what it is, what you are, is far greater than any circumstance that confronts you. You are not here to control others, you are here to command your own mind. And once you do that, everything else aligns. The world is not resisting you, it is reflecting you. If you meet fire with fire, you get more fire. If you meet it with stillness, the flame cannot spread. When you remain calm, the world becomes calm around you, not because the world changes, but because your inner state does. Imagine a situation that once triggered you. Someone lied to you, someone betrayed you, someone doubted you. In the past, you might have burned in response. Words thrown like daggers, silence used like punishment, retaliation disguised as righteousness. But now you see through it. You see it as an opportunity to return to yourself, not to lose yourself. You say nothing, you breathe, you affirm inwardly, I am untouched by this. I am not this reaction. I am the stillness behind it. And what happens? The power of the moment shifts. The energy loses its grip. You no longer feed the illusion. You no longer lend it your belief. You are free, not because the world became easier, but because you became unshakable. Freedom is not the absence of conflict. It is the ability to walk through conflict without being dragged into its story. Peace is not the absence of noise. It is the refusal to let noise dictate your direction. You must live from the inside out, not the outside in. The moment you let the outer world decide who you are no longer living. You are reacting. You are no longer choosing, you are chasing. But you were not born to chase. You were born to create. And creation does not emerge from panic, it flows from presence, from poise, from the unbothered awareness that knows all things are unfolding for your good, whether the world sees it yet or not. So you stop proving, you stop pleading, you stop engaging in battles that cost you your peace. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need to correct every misconception. You do not need to teach every lesson. Sometimes your silence is your elevation. Your peace is your response. Let others wonder why you are so calm. Let them question your quiet. Let them project, misread, and mislabel. That is their lesson, not yours. You do not shrink to fit their narrative. You do not dim to make them comfortable. You shine quietly, steadily, endlessly. You rise. You rise not with effort, but with ease. Not with noise, but with knowing. Not with force, but with faith. Because you have seen the truth, all things respond to your inner conviction. So you do not panic when things look wrong. You do not grasp when things feel delayed. You do not fight the shadows. You turn on the light. You keep walking. You keep believing. You keep assuming the best even when you are shown the worst. You do not match energy. You raise it. You do not echo the world. You speak from the heavens. You do not get drawn into the narrative. You write a new one. When the door closes, you do not bang on it. You turn, you smile, and you walk toward the better one already forming. When the opportunity slips away, you do not chase. You remain still, knowing that what is meant for you does not run, it aligns. You understand that delay is not denial, it is redirection. And redirection is often the universe's protection in disguise. So you no longer fall apart when plans shift. You no longer spiral when people leave. You no longer question your worth when the outcome differs from your desire. You trust. You trust the timing. You trust the process. You trust yourself because you have realized, finally, that the only true loss is the loss of your center. And you will no longer surrender that, not for anyone, not for anything. The world will keep spinning, people will keep talking, storms will rise and pass. But you are the eye of the storm. You are the calm that remains. You are the stillness that creates worlds. So sit tall in your truth, stand strong in your peace, rest boldly in your knowing, and let every moment that tempts you to react be the very moment you choose to rise. You no longer chase outcomes because you know outcomes are drawn to identity, and you have assumed the identity of the one who is never shaken, never rushed, never thrown off course by appearances. You walk through the world not as one seeking confirmation, but as one revealing confirmation. You do not wait for peace. You are peace. You do not beg for answers. You are the answer in form. You do not react to chaos. You neutralize it with the quiet strength of your presence. When you enter a room, the energy shifts, not because of your words, but because of your being. The atmosphere bends to the tone you carry. You do not chase energy, you generate it. You do not need to raise your voice to be heard. You do not need to posture to be respected. Your presence speaks louder than performance. Your calm is louder than commotion. Your stillness sends a signal that others cannot ignore. To rise is not to avoid life, it is to meet life from the level of awareness, where you are no longer at the mercy of it. You do not deny that things happen, you deny their ability to define you. You no longer ask, why did this happen to me? You now declare, this happened for me. Because you know that everything, every delay, every betrayal, every closed door is working something eternal in you. Something deeper, something stronger, something untouchable. There is nothing noble in being tossed about by circumstances, but there is everything noble in choosing to remain unmoved. You do not numb yourself to reality, you transform it from the inside. You shift it, not by reacting, but by realizing that the outer condition is always the echo, never the origin. You hold the origin. You carry the seed. You decide what takes root and what withers through inattention. And what is planted in the soil of inner calm grows with sacred precision. Because when you plant your intentions in a field of peace, not panic, the earth responds. Doors open that were never there before. People arrive who carry keys to rooms you hadn't even considered. Opportunities rise not because you chased them, but because you aligned with them. You became the version of you who receives without resistance. And that version of you does not need to defend, deflect, or dominate. It simply dwells in the knowing, in the truth, in the calm. You are not the puppet of the world, you are the author of it. And authors do not argue with the characters they created, they rewrite them, they refine them, they reshape them. So if your reality displeases you, you do not react to it, you recreate it. You go back into the silence, you enter the sacred sanctuary of assumption, you assume the state of calm, of completion, of confidence. And you persist there, not for 5 seconds, not for a moment, but until it hardens into fact. Do not be fooled by appearances. Do not rush to answer every voice that demands your attention. Most of them are echoes, not calls. Most of them are distractions, not directions. And if you listen closely, you'll hear something deeper beneath all the noise. A whisper from the higher self, the voice within that does not shout, does not push, does not demand. It waits. It waits for you to be still enough to hear it. And when you hear it, you will remember. You will remember that you were never meant to be reactive, you were designed to be creative. You were not placed in this life to survive its winds, you were sent to command them. The wind does not move the mountain shapes the wind. And you, in your stillness, become like that mountain, firm, rooted, immovable. Not because nothing touches you, but because nothing shakes you. You rise not to escape conflict, but to transcend it. Not to ignore life's challenges, but to meet them from a higher state of awareness. You realize that every problem loses its power the moment you stop identifying with it. Every argument becomes void the moment you no longer need to be right. Every attack loses momentum the moment you no longer fear. So the one who is calm cannot be baited. The one who is centered cannot be provoked. The one who is unbothered does not fall for the tricks of urgency, of manipulation, of drama. They move differently. They speak less and mean more. They act from intention, not reaction. They embody the truth that still waters run deep. And those depths are where power truly lies. So you stop apologizing for your calm. You stop dimming your peace to fit into the storm of others. You stop explaining your silence to those who cannot hear its wisdom. You rest in your inner world, not as an escape, but as your throne. You return again and again to the knowing that everything you desire already exists, not out there, but within. And as you assume it within, it begins to take form without. This is why you do not react, you rise. You do not fight for evidence, you embody faith. You do not chase the outcome, you become the embodiment of the outcome, and let reality adjust itself accordingly. This is not fantasy, this is law. The inner determines the outer, always. And when you forget, when the noise tries to pull you back, when the old self wants to scream, to prove, to demand, you pause, you return to the breath, you return to the knowing, you return to the stillness that has always been yours. You return not because it is easy, but because it is essential. It is the only place where creation truly begins. Others may live from trigger to trigger. Others may live from panic to panic, but you now live from truth to truth, from assumption to manifestation, from peace to power. And that journey is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is subtle, it is sacred, it is still. So you keep walking in your knowing. You keep showing up in your presence. You keep moving from the center of who you are rather than the surface of what happens. Because the surface will always shift. But the center, if guarded, if nurtured, if honored, will not only endure, it will govern. You are not here to be mastered by emotion. You are here to master emotion. You are not here to beg the world for change. You are here to change the world by changing the self. You are not here to chase peace. You are here to realize you are peace. And peace is not passive. Peace is the most powerful presence in the universe because it cannot be moved by force. It absorbs and transmutes. It does not flinch. It transforms. So be unbothered, not because nothing matters, but because you know what truly does. Be calm, not because you are indifferent, but because you are in tune. Be still, not because you are avoiding, but because you are creating. Keep choosing your center, keep rising above the noise, keep walking in the stillness that speaks louder than thunder, and watch how the world follows your lead, not because you forced it, but because you became the frequency it could not ignore. And so you stay still, not frozen, but focused, not passive, but poised. You are not ignoring the world, you are shaping it. You are shaping it not with frantic motion, but with the invisible, immeasurable power of assumption. You no longer seek control over what others do or say because you have awakened to the only control that matters, the control over what you accept as true within yourself. When you are calm, you are choosing truth over appearance. When you are still, you are anchoring yourself in reality, not illusion. You begin to recognize how much of what once disturbed you was never truly about you. It was a mirror, a test, an invitation to believe something lesser. But now you reject the invitation. You no longer lower yourself to meet situations at the level of reaction. You elevate the moment by your response, or the absence of one. To react is to relive. To respond from inner vision is to rewrite. And you are no longer here to relive the same story over and over. You are here to write a new one. Not dictated by wounds or patterns or old conditioning, but led by the new self, the higher self, the calm, risen self that already knows how this ends, the one who walks with the quiet assurance that everything is already aligned. You do not need to look over your shoulder to know you are safe. You do not need to argue your value when it has already been established in your consciousness. You no longer ask the world for permission to be whole. You are whole. You do not need evidence to rest in the promise. You are the promise. You do not wait for the circumstance to declare peace. You declare it yourself, and the circumstance must respond. The one who walks in faith does not need immediate validation. The one who lives from the end does not need proof. The one who has assumed the state does not need reassurance. So when the storm comes, and it will, you do not waver. You do not consult the storm for direction. You consult your knowing, and your knowing says, "This too bends to me." Not through force, but through frequency, through consciousness, through stillness. You are no longer the version of yourself who reacts, who fears, who shrinks. That version may still whisper, may still linger in the corners of your awareness, but you no longer obey it. You observe it, you bless it, you release it. You replace it with the one who walks through fire and remains untouched, the one who moves through uncertainty and remains unshaken, the one who no longer lives by sight, but by inner knowing. Because sight can lie. It shows you the incomplete. It shows you the echo, not the cause. But inner knowing, that is the cause. That is the source. That is the unseen realm where all things begin. And once you begin to live from that place, nothing external can master you again. Not delays, not disappointments, not disrespect. They may appear, they may test you, but they no longer move you. You become like the tree planted by the water. It does not fear the drought. It does not rush to gather the rain. It knows the root is deeper than the season. And so are you. You are rooted in something far greater than circumstances. You are grounded in identity, in truth, in the quiet power that moves mountains without shouting. And so you remain anchored, aware, awake. You do not need to shout when you are aligned. You do not need to rush when you are rooted. You do not need to defend when you have dominion. This is not arrogance, it is awareness. This is not pride, it is presence. You are not above others, you are simply above the storm. Not because you escaped it, but because you transcended it. You did the work, you assumed the state. You let go of needing to win, needing to prove, needing to control, and because of that, everything began to align without strain. Let them call you quiet, let them call you detached, let them misunderstand your calm. That is not your burden to carry. Your stillness is not their business to decode. Your poise is not their puzzle to solve. It is your secret, your strength, your sacred space. Guard it, protect it, build your life from it. And from that stillness, you begin to create, not just reactively, but intentionally. You speak from a place that does not beg, it declares. You think from a place that does not doubt, it assumes. You act from a place that does not fear, it moves from faith. And because of that, everything shifts. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. Now, even in the face of accusation, you smile. Not because you are numb, but because you are free. Now, even in the face of delay, you trust. Not because you are blind, but because you see deeper. Now, even when you are misunderstood, you remain unbothered. Not because it doesn't matter, but because you matter more. Your inner world has become your first and final authority. And you begin to notice, the less you react, the more power you retain. The less you explain, the more influence you carry. The less you grasp, the more you receive. This is the paradox of peace. It brings to you what striving chases away. It magnetizes what anxiety repels. It aligns what effort alone cannot produce. So you do not resist the present moment. You enter it. You bring your full awareness to it. And from that awareness, you rise, not in body but in being, not in volume but in vibration. You rise not above people but above patterns. You ascend not from pride but from purpose. And you remain steady, watchful, intentional. While the world reacts, you remember. While others grasp, you trust. While noise surrounds, you stay attuned to the whisper of your own inner voice, the one that says, "All is well, I am safe, I am whole, I am here." This moment too shall pass. The anger will fade, the tension will dissolve, the confusion will clear. But what remains? You, your center, your chosen state. That is what endures. That is what creates. That is what changes everything. So keep choosing it. When the temptation comes to argue, choose peace. When the fear comes to worry, choose faith. When the pressure comes to react, choose stillness. And do it again, and again, and again, until it becomes your natural state, until it becomes your home. You are not here to live at the mercy of events. You are here to shape events through your state of being. You are not here to convince others of your worth. You are here to embody it so fully that the world has no choice but to reflect it back. You are not here to fight for your place. You are here to rise into it. And when you rise, others will feel it. Even if they don't understand it, they will feel it. Your calm will unsettle the unrooted. Your peace will shake what is built on panic. But that is not your concern. Your only concern is staying true to your center, no matter what tries to pull you away. And so you rise, not once, but daily. Not from force, but from flow. Not for applause, but from alignment. You rise without reaction. You rise without retaliation. You rise, and in your rising, you remind the world of what true power looks like. And when you rise in this way, not from anger, but from awareness, not from frustration, but from fulfillment, you begin to change everything. Not by force, but by frequency. The atmosphere around you takes its cues from the posture within you. Circumstances that once overwhelmed you now bend around you. People who once drained you no longer access the depths of you. And the patterns that once controlled you fall away, not because you fought them, but because you no longer feed them with your attention. There is no battle when you have already won within. There is no chaos when you have established order in your consciousness. The outer world can only mimic what you carry inside. So the more you remain in this state of calm, the more your life begins to reflect it, not as a fragile piece that depends on everything going well, but as an immovable foundation that remains even when everything shakes. You've seen it before. The moment you reacted in the past, you lowered your vibration. You spoke too soon, moved too fast, believed the worst, and the results followed. But now you remember, you do not move because you're afraid. You move because you're aligned. You do not speak to be heard, you speak to direct. And sometimes silence is the loudest direction. You no longer fear what others think. Their judgments are based on their own projections, not your truth. Their opinions are shaped by their own stories, not your spirit. Let them think what they will. You're no longer shaped by the noise. You're shaped by the silence within it. And that silence, that inner sanctuary, is not empty, it is full. Full of clarity, full of power, full of intention. You return to it not to escape the world, but to command it. You go there to reset, to realign, to remember. Remember who you are. Remember what you've declared. Remember that nothing outside of you is greater than what lives within you. So you walk differently now. You're no longer in a hurry. You're no longer desperate to prove, to be chosen, to be understood. You're no longer seeking validation from a world that doesn't even see itself clearly. You've stopped asking for scraps of approval. You sit at the table of your own worth. You feast on the fullness of your inner knowing. And because of this, everything changes. Not overnight, perhaps, not always with fireworks, but subtly, surely, powerfully. The situations that once made you spiral now meet a version of you that smiles. The people that once triggered you now feel no reaction to push against. The fears that once ran your thoughts now dissolve before they can even form. You are free not because the world is easy, but because you've chosen the higher path. Free not because there's no pressure, but because pressure no longer defines your behavior. Free because you no longer give your peace away to the temporary, the petty, the passing. Even in the face of what you don't yet understand, you remain still. You are no longer ruled by the need to figure it all out. You've made peace with mystery. You trust that all things are being worked together in perfect sequence, even when you can't see it. You trust that nothing is being withheld from you, that the delay is not a denial, that the silence is not rejection, it is preparation. So when it seems like nothing is moving, you don't panic. You move inward. You assume the position of the one who already has the thing, already knows the answer, already is the version that the result belongs to. And you dwell there, not briefly, but completely. You stop dipping in and out of belief. You stop wavering between conviction and doubt. You stop negotiating with fear. You set your intention and you remain there. You remain unshaken. You remain calm. You remain undistracted. And that is the difference. That is the power. That is how the unseen becomes seen. Others may call this delusion, but you know better. It's devotion to the unseen reality that is more real than what the five senses can perceive. You are loyal not to what is, but to what is becoming. You are faithful not to circumstances, but to vision. And your vision, held in calm, saturated in peace, will always outlast any appearance of lack, of conflict, of delay. You become the observer, not the reactor. You watch, but you do not absorb. You discern, but you do not descend. You carry peace not as an accessory, but as your essence. It is no longer something you have, it is who you are. And when peace becomes identity, nothing can take it from you. That is why you're no longer shaken, because your peace is no longer circumstantial, it is positional. It is rooted in your choice, your awareness, your state of being. And that state creates outcomes, attracts answers, produces manifestations, not through striving, but through presence. The less you need, the more you receive. The less you explain, the more you command. The less you chase, the more you attract. This is not magic, this is law. And now that you've tapped into it, you no longer lower yourself to fight for what belongs to you by nature. Even when you're tempted, you remember that reaction is expensive. It costs you your energy, your clarity, your alignment. And you no longer pay that price. You've paid it too many times before, and the return was never worth the cost. Now, you invest your focus in the only place that matters, your inner world. And from there, all things are added. Not because you beg, but because you believe. Not because you wrestle, but because you rest. And your rest is not passivity, it is power. So you walk through life with grace. You say less, you smile more, you trust the knowing, you hold the vision. And the world, though it may not understand at first, begins to respond. The doors open, the answers come, the resistance falls away. Not because you fought harder, but because you held your peace longer. Not because you were louder, but because your vibration was stronger. Not because you reacted, but because you rose. You rose, and everything else had to rise to meet you. So now you understand your power was never in the noise, but in the stillness. It was never in the reaction, but in the rising. You were never meant to fight for peace. You were meant to be peace. And when you choose that identity, moment by moment, breath by breath, the world no longer dictates your reality. You do. Remain unmoved by what tries to shake you. Stay rooted in the vision that calls you. Walk in the quiet confidence of one who already is. And when the world asks, "Why aren't you reacting?" let your presence speak the answer, "Because I have already risen."